Hey folks, Jim Van Zant, one of the pastors here at Carlisle United Methodist Church with Sermon in 3 Minutes. Thanks for tuning in today. You know, it's Eastertide. That's the name of the season of the year we're in, these weeks after Easter. And so it's not uncommon to hear a scripture lesson, some of the post-resurrection sightings of Jesus. And last week we heard the one about Jesus appearing and walking with the two men on the road to Emmaus. He appears to them as a stranger, and it's not until the end of their meeting together that they realize that they had been touched by someone very, very special in their lives. One of the things I think about that story that we don't fully appreciate is the depth of the discouragement and the despair that the two along the road to Emmaus felt. They left Jerusalem not knowing what had happened to Jesus. They knew about his crucifixion, and that's discouraging enough. They had heard about the fact that the tomb was empty. That made them even more discouraged. And they left Jerusalem, probably from two separate areas of the city, and just happened to meet up on this road to Emmaus. And they were doing the same thing that we do when we get discouraged. Oftentimes we want to retreat, to go home and to isolate ourselves, and that's what these men are probably doing as well. See, we know who that stranger is walking with them, and we're too quick to go to the end of the story, and I think it interrupts our sense of empathy and compassion with those two people and the depth of the discouragement they do feel. You know, human behavioralists tell us that the biggest reason that you and I quit anything, whether it's some kind of hobby, whether it's our jobs, or even a relationship in our lives, the number one reason we quit is because of discouragement. Discouragement is a really powerful emotion. And that's what they say we need to remember when we feel discouraged. Number one, that it is an emotion. It is a mood. It's not a permanent state of affairs. Yet discouragement often feels so permanent in our lives. It's a temporary situation. And the way to change that is the way to change ourselves is to change the way we think. Actually, to do what's counterintuitive. Our tendency is to want to withdraw when we feel discouraged, and yet if we want to get over discouragement, the very thing we need to do is quite often the opposite. We need to go out even more. I see this in the church all of the time. People are going through their lives, something happens, they didn't anticipate it, they get discouraged, and suddenly their attendance becomes more sporadic until they don't come at all, and they've cut themselves off from the very things God has put in place in order to help us deal with the discouragement and other disappointments of our lives. When they cut themselves off from the church, they cut themselves off from the rich history and tradition, the ancient creeds of the church. They cut themselves off from the power of the music of worship, the prayers, access to the throne of God through our prayers, and of course the fellowship of the faithful, others who are walking the same path we do. So if you ever get discouraged, I want to encourage you not to do those things, not to run away and withdraw, but to become even more involved. And you will find out how much more quickly you'll be able to get over your discouragement. Real simple thing to do is, if you're discouraged, is for the next 5 evenings, write down everything that went right today. Not what went wrong, but went right. At the end of 5 days, I guarantee you'll feel different about your discouragement. Your situation may not have changed, but the way you feel about it will have changed, and it will open up the door to new possibilities for you to get over the discouragements even faster in your life. Thank you very much for taking a few moments to watch Sermon in 3 Minutes. If you're ever in the Carlisle area, please feel free to stop by and take advantage of any one of our worship services here. We'd love to see you sometime. Don't be discouraged. God has better days for you.